All right, hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight to the Stimulate Your Startup Pitch Competition. I'm Jessie Garcia. I'm the CEO and founder of Chizuda, where we manufacture impact indicators for concussion awareness. But for the past 8 weeks, I've had the privilege to be the founder-in-residence at the Science Center, running the OnRamp program. For those of you unfamiliar with the OnRamp program, it's a free 8-week hybrid class open to any early stage founder or even idea stage founder who has been wanting to work on a business and doesn't know where to start. We've had worked with over 49 participants from all over the world, from Philly, Germany, Singapore, all over like the US, and it's been fantastic to get to work with these individuals each week. We covered topics like finding your customer, problem identification, fundraising, pitching, financials. We ran the gambit, and it's all coming to a finale tonight with the startup competition. So what's on the line tonight is we have 10 fantastic pitches to hear from, all different varieties. And there's a first place prize of $5,000, a second place prize for $2,500, and a third prize for $1,500, all to help these founders really accelerate their early growth. And on top of that, they get a membership to PACT. They have Mentor Connect at PACT, so they'll get paired with a mentor after this, as well as free membership from IC3401, which is an amazing cohort space in Philly. We're really lucky that we have 4 amazing judges who are going to be critiquing tonight's startups. In person is Margaret Bradley, who's the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at Brent Franklin Technology Partners. And then virtually we have Jennifer Rodriguez, who's the CEO and President of the Philadelphia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Mark Mitchell, who's the Director of Delaware Crossing Investor Group, as well as Bucks Built, and Ellen Weber, who's the Executive Director of Robinhood Ventures. These are fantastic individuals who have all helped me and so many other founders along the way in their startup journey. So I'm excited for you to get their feedback and, listen to what they have to say. So with that being said, we're going to kick it off with our first pitch, who is going to be Jean Steinke of Lofty Spot. She'll have 5 minutes and 3 minutes of Q&A, and we'll follow that format for the rest of the night. So without further ado, here's Jean.
Thanks, Jessie. I'm going to take this off. That's okay. Right?
That's okay.
And I don't know that I need this. Can you hear me okay without the microphone? Oh, they're going to need it. Okay. All right. Hang on. Give me 1 sec. Actually, I'm going to stand here. I think that'll be better.
If you stand here, they see you. If you
Got
stand
it?
there, they don't.
Okay. So show me where I should go.
Right where Jessie was?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, but no, but you want them to see your slides.
Oops, sorry.
So
Okay.
3 steps to the left or right, and they'll see your slide too. Perfect.
If you'd like a podium for your notes, you can also do that.
You know what? I think it's okay. I can see
And
it.
since it's a screenshot, we'll see it online.
All right, and they see your slides anyhow.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm good.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
You got this.
No, a little closer so they see your fine expressive self. Yeah, you're good.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you to the community here at OnRamp and Venture Café for hosting us the last 8 weeks. It's been a very enlightening experience. Collaboration has ensued, and I'm just really happy to be up here pitching Lofty Spot. And so I'll start with that. Lofty Spot is a marketplace for community space. Hang on. Right. And
Try now.
there you go. Okay. So I founded Lofty Spot in the spirit of altruism meets capitalism. It's very common for software to connect people to places in the private sector, but not so much in the nonprofit sector. So I like to think of Lofty Spot as the Airbnb for nonprofits. There we go. So the problem Lofty Spot solves is that community organizations need more revenue. In the case of places of worship and libraries, for example, they have shrinking congregations and shrinking patronage. So with shrinking congregations comes less donations, less money to the coffers, and yet they have beautiful functional space that can be repurposed and monetized when church is not in session. And in the case of libraries and community spaces, much of their funding is also going by the wayside as their patronage declines and usage declines. So that functional space should be monetized for increased revenue to save these community spaces. And the other piece of the marketplace model that the Lofty Spot problem solves is that renters are also seeking space at down market pricing. So if you think about it, during the pandemic especially, fitness instructors have lost their leases because they couldn't teach classes in person. So now they're coming off Zoom because their patrons want to take classes back in person, but they have nowhere to go to find the space all in one place. And many of them are doing this right now sort of on an ad hoc basis. So it's not through a software program or any type of networking other than Facebook or their own word of mouth. So, and likewise, there's more, because of the pandemic, people working at home. And so there's conflict sometimes between maybe 2 or 3 people at home that need to Zoom at the same time or whatever the case may be. They're also losing their time with their colleagues in person, and they might have a need, especially if they're extroverts, to go out and socialize. Starbucks isn't always an option, and WeWork is too expensive. So why not go to your church down the road? Nope. Sorry. So as I said, Lofty Spot is like Airbnb for nonprofits. So it is that same marketplace model. In order for Lofty Spot to be successful, there has to be two types of organizations or people coming together to form a marketplace. And that marketplace doesn't exist right now. If you want to book a meeting in a church, you have to go to that church, likely track down the church secretary, and maybe they'll charge you, maybe they won't, maybe they have something on the calendar, maybe they don't. But if you're looking at all of this on a software platform, you can book it, pay for it, and go. It's easy to use, and the organizations can go on the platform for free, just like Airbnb, but then Lofty Spot takes a small percentage when the booking occurs. And in terms of the renters, they go on and search by zip code and see what's available from there. And Lofty Spot is live in MVP form. So I have completed the initial early adopter phase, which was in 2019. And I learned a lot in that early adopter phase. As you can see, I worked with over 50 organizations between where the software was built in Washington, DC, Atlanta, and Philadelphia. And the key takeaways there are that the problem was validated. They have underutilized space and they need revenue. Many organizations were already repurposing their space, but they weren't monetizing it. However, they don't know how to find the renters. And that's how I got to the marketplace model, is that I need to find the renters for them. And so once I figured that out, which was all during the pandemic, I was able to sort of relaunch with the marketplace model. And with advisors that I brought on board and investment that I'm seeking, I believe that I can now take Lofty Spot 2.0 to the next level. This is just a brief, I know I don't have a ton of time here, but I'd like to just mention this in the context of what I did during the pandemic. So I worked with Partners for Sacred Places to open up community learning hubs in churches. And the idea came from listening to an NPR article, news story, and in 4 months it went from idea to implementation. So that just proves that I'm able to do that. And it was also incredibly helpful to 120 kids in the Philadelphia region. Okay. That's pretty much it anyway. You can see the market snapshot in terms of, so questions?
Even if time's up, if you could spin us through.
Sure.
Really fast.
Okay, so the market snapshot was right
Just
there.
gonna take a peek.
Yep. And then these are my guys. And I guess I would just like to close with one thing, that because I'm ready to go, I have an MVP and I have over 100 prospects in my customer relation management software tool. I'm ready to go. So what I would do with the $5,000 is I would go right to customer acquisition on the renter side. I can find the churches without a problem.
All right, Jean. So thank you so much for your pitch. I think now we'll open up to questions from the judges.
Okay.
So first of all, my congregation had this exact problem. They were trying to figure out how to acquire renters at, very defined hours and that sort of thing. And I think that this would meet that need. My question to you is, what competition do you have? How do you look at that?
Yeah, that's a great question. There is one organization called Space Finder that was in business for this purpose, but focused on the arts, and they have since shut down. There are many software tools out there that, like co-working tools, that will do just that. So the church theoretically could buy the software platform, but that again wouldn't help them find the renters. So no, I don't know of this marketplace anywhere.
No, it's a really clever idea. I love the use of making use of unutilized assets, right? So they're just sitting there doing nothing, and you've come up with a really clever way for people to monetize them, which is excellent. I'll make one comment first. In a business like yours, when you talk about revenue, you need to be very clear whether you're talking about the value of transactions through the platform, or what is your revenue, which is just your cut. So if the space rents for $100, the $100 is not your revenue. The 2 or 3 or 5% sort of is your revenue. So just keep that in mind in presenting it. In terms of questions, have you thought about any insurance or sort of liability concerns about these people opening up their business to really a different, different group of people?
Yeah, so that came up quite a bit during the early adopter phase. And the bottom line is that the organization owns the liability. So they have to determine as a board, as a session, whatever it is, what they're willing to do as far as allowing certain groups to come in or disallowing groups to come in. And that is definitely a barrier to entry. Because they can get caught up in that conversation. But in the end, it really comes down to a waiver and an agreement. So it is a process they have to go through, but according to the business model today, that is something that the organization owns, not Lofty Spot.
Okay, thanks.
I don't know if can you guys hear me too? Not so much.
Here, take mine. I'm not really using it.
Oh. I don't know if you guys know, but Partners for Sacred Places is the perfect partner for this kind of work and has done work like this for years and years.
Yes.
Are there other partners like that that would get you easy access to a broad network of congregations or organizations?
Yeah, so thank you. As you saw, Karen DeLassy from Partners is on my board, and working with them during the pandemic on the learning hubs was hugely beneficial. And I'd say that we have an unofficial relationship of Lofty Spot as being their sort of technology space sharing provider. It's unofficial, but they do bring me in to grant proposal responses, for example. As far as other organizations like theirs, I have worked with the diocese of Episcopalian Diocese of Philadelphia, and they've been helpful as well because they also have a space sharing sort of goal for their organizations. Beyond that, I haven't tapped into any others.
Well, thank you so much, Jean. That's the wrap for questions right now, and we will bring up the next startup.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much. Yeah, so next up, we have Alla Future with Jennifer Baxter and Marco Lopetelli, who are going to be pitching virtually.
And Jean was the brave one, but as you guys all see, the biggest judge and the toughest part of this is the clock.
Yes.
So she was kind in letting you all see that. Wish you well.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Am I good to go?
Yes, whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. So Hi, I'm Jennifer Baxter. Thank you all so much for having us and giving us the opportunity to present our company, Outlook Future, which is an interdisciplinary research and STEAM program. So digitization and a changing climate is disrupting the way that companies are doing business. These companies are finding it very difficult to acquire the skilled workers who are able to operate in this fast changing world. And not only is it difficult to find this new talent, but it's also very hard to keep them. And this talent shortage and skill gap is actually costing a lot of money. In short, businesses really need to start future-proofing their talent pipelines. So we believe that the solution to this problem is to foster future innovators, which is exactly what Outlook Future does. So our students are going to learn skills like critical thinking, ethics, creativity, STEM skills, as well as how to apply all of these skills. And these are the exact things that companies are going to be looking for in future talent. So Outlook students will also collaborate with experts in companies. And this is very beneficial for those companies because they'll be interacting with potential future employees who are already familiar with their business problems as well as their company culture. And they will also benefit from researching emerging technologies that are potentially going to impact their businesses. And finally, our project-based curriculum also results in innovative projects, which is going to serve as an asset for not just the student, but those companies as well. So here are a couple examples of some of our favorite projects done by high school students, and they were around 15 and 16 years old at the time. So Outlook Future projects can range from more practical to more speculative, and they'll always cover topics within our research initiatives, which are sustainability and biodesign, social innovation, and digital technology. So we imagine to take this program even further because we truly believe that education in the future will be hybrid, so digital and physical. And we're already developing a learning software in Metaverse, which is going to enable us and its users to collaborate in unprecedented ways. So for example, student projects are going to be able to become NFTs. And this is something we've already begun experimenting with, as you can see in the top left corner. And prototypes are also going to potentially be able to be built digitally. So the market for programs like ours is large and growing. For example, companies like Google and Qualcomm are investing billions of dollars into education institutions for research purposes. These are mostly universities. And in fact, the average income per student researcher across all 181 universities in the US averages around $9,400 per student. And we've seen a lot of traction in response to this market growth. So in the past year, we've acquired new partners as well as more students. And we're averaging now around $1,000 per student in revenue. So this has all been very encouraging, and we want Outlet to have an even bigger impact. And we plan on doing that not only by acquiring more partners and students, but also by developing out our platform, which we believe will exponentially increase our business. And eventually we hope to accelerate student projects, both on and off the platform, and provide research and new technologies to interested companies. So at the moment, our team consists of myself and Margaret Lopetelli, and together we have a range of experiences such as biodesign, new media tech, product design, engineering, and marketing. But we do recognize that we can't do all of this alone. That's why we're actively raising capital to hire out our team and find people like more facilitators as well as developers. So we also need help achieving our smaller milestones. That's why winning first place at this pitch competition could help us to do things like incorporate. We want to conduct more research as well as advertise our summer program for next year. So we thank you very much for your consideration, and myself and Marco can take any questions.
Do you want to start off with Jennifer for questions? Judges, do you have any questions?
I'll jump in, Jesse. It's really exciting what you're doing, Jennifer. It's great to see this sort of educational development coming through. It wasn't really clear to me who your customer is, though. Are you targeting parents to be that would sign up, or is this a curriculum that would be added by the school?
So who we're targeting with this in our business model are other companies, such as H&M, for example, and we'll collaborate with those companies to research emerging technologies. The students who will be participating in the program itself will be partnering high schools. So for example, right now we've worked with high schools like Paul Robeson in Philadelphia.
And so who's actually paying you money?
The companies that we're working with. For example, H&M Beyond in Berlin.
Okay, but the schools and the students don't pay anything.
No, we really push to keep that free for the students to participate. So the companies up until now have completely sponsored these programs because they're really invested in discovering these and researching these emerging technologies that are eventually going to impact their business. Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of, there's a model for that in college and you're applying it to high school.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. I didn't quite understand that when you were going through it, but that makes sense. Okay. And who else does something like this? Anybody?
So yeah, right now, who's mainly doing it are universities, and they've had a lot of success, as you've seen in the previous slides. But not a lot of people are working with high school students, which we think is kind of a shame because in working with those students, we see that they have so much potential. They have big ideas that they want to bring to the table. They're opinionated, and a lot of times they're the main demographic who's working with those companies, so they can provide a lot of insight to those that we're collaborating with.
Hmm.
Jennifer? Jennifer, have you considered partnerships with the universities? Because it feels like what you just shared there is a big stretch for a corporation to believe that even a school as wonderful as Paul Robeson is like doing that same sort of research with Drexel. Can you share a little bit of why you're thinking about sticking with the high school model?
So our program is first and foremost to create these future innovators. So that's what we're mainly focused on, is developing these skills of these high school students who are eventually going to be hired by these companies to produce these innovative solutions that we're going to need in this world of digitization, climate change, etc. So that's what we're really focused on right now is this development. So that's kind of where we want to stay put at for now.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, from All of Future. Next up, we have Tia McCoon from Boots and Wings, who will be presenting in person.
So wait for this. Yeah, I'll get your slides up. Thank you. Or it's backwards. Okay.
And whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm Tia McCown, and I am the founder and president of the Boots and Wings Project, a caregiver solution and resource company designed for caregivers who don't know where to go for help. Caregivers are absolutely overwhelmed. There is more need than people to meet the need. There's boomers who are aging into the healthcare system. There are needs for direct support care people. In fact, going forward, it's going to be 7.6 million direct support care workers. And this creates a lot of anxiety, not only for the healthcare system, but also for the caregivers who can't find help. We have, as caregivers, our own stress. We have stress from our patient, learning about our patients' needs. And this is family caregivers that I'm talking about. There's also time vampires. In addition to that, caregivers there's just a huge number of caregivers. Right now, there's 55 million in our country. By 2050, there's going to be 98 million. So you can see how this gap is widening, and time, money, presence, that people coming alongside people who have these extreme information needs is growing, and knowledge is something that we think is really an important thing to address. So to get from pain to peace of mind for our caregivers, we have 5 solutions. The first is education in small nuggets. You've seen this before. This is just your subscription, and we provide subscription information for individuals and businesses. The second is the grab and go book, and I have an example of it here. But the grab and go book is a time-saving education system. We teach people about prevention. We teach people what are things that they need to communicate to their first responders. And this is where we would use the $5,000 if we were to win the pitch today, because we really need to add some tech components to it. And it's a really innovative, comprehensive, custom designed program for our clients. They get to do a deeper dive, and we are looking just at this market as a possibility for some real significant revenue generation over the time. If we are just looking at like 5% of one zip code and expanding that out over 5 years, adding our tech possibility and increasing the revenue a little bit, we may have up to $3 billion in a third of the market sector. And we're targeting like property managers and churches and organizations, not the healthcare system. They already know where the healthcare system situations and folks are. We have 3 other bridges. One is just those hard conversations that we're going to drive down deep into the local communities. We have solutions that involve navigation, and we have 4 tiers. Those 4 tiers are like a concierge for people who have a lot of income. And then we have programs for people who are above that consumer line. The services in the government is already supporting those other folks. And then we have consulting services as well for businesses. These are the collaborations. We really honor local wisdom first. Local wisdom first. It really matters. And so we're coming down into the communities, and these are the relationships that we've established. We're beginning to get traction and learn from these communities on where the gaps are. And so whether we have a prospective 700 member union that is slated for February, but things are happening. We have partnership with somebody from OnRamp, connections with our government agencies in our county. With regard to competition, we really see everybody as an asset, everybody. I know it's hard to believe, but everybody has a silo, everybody has an edge, everybody has a limit. And so big organizations, AARP, National Association of Caregiving, all the way down the list, care.com, they all have something to offer to our local caregivers. We get that information and we serve it up on what are their plate. And then the local center or the local knowledge group, they're going to add the local flavor. So, and our gap is the gap that we feel is that secret sauce. The reason that we bring that secret sauce is that we are the hospice chaplain and hospice nurse on our team.
All right.
These are our partnerships.
Sorry,
No problem.
we're at time.
No
We're
problem.
Gonna, no, thank you so much. We're gonna open it up for questions with the
Sure.
judges.
Yes. Anybody have questions?
Do you guys? I'll start.
Sure, I'll jump in, never shy. This is a huge sort of hidden problem. People who are involved in this know it well, and they know how significant a problem is. Outside of that, people don't. So I'm glad to see you approaching it. It's an area that needs a lot more support, which is great. I have a two-part question. First up, have you thought of being a non-profit organization to provide this level of support?
Yeah, I absolutely have, and there's a lot of reasons why we specifically talked about set up as an S corporation, because what we want to do, there's nonprofit organizations that are already working really, really hard to scramble for dollars, especially the local small nonprofits and the community organizations. You know, they're constantly banging on doors. As a partner company, that is going to be supported by sponsored care. What I mean by that is our program allows for sponsored care, so people can actually attach their marketing revenue now to supporting a local nonprofit with that wraparound system. So we want to be a business driver in the local nonprofit sector.
Can you explain again the business model and who's paying? You described at various levels, but so my sister's busily caring for her spouse. She's the payer, or is there a third-party payer?
So it will depend on the level of income and her needs. So government agencies will continue to handle and support, will continue to handle and support those people who are below that consumer line that the government sets. People who are just above the fixed asset line, those will be supported by sponsored care locally. People who have want more navigation and services that are capable of paying will dive deeper, and then if there's a concierge kind of program, corporations can invest in developing themselves.
And they are buying the resources and the network?
What you're purchasing is the service, the education, the training, and the navigation. So we do corporate consulting, education services for caregivers, and then the navigation for families out of the local centers.
So how do you, and I agree with Mark, this is really a problem. And as we boomers age, it's going to be an even bigger problem. So thank you for working on such an important problem. I guess my question is, how do you scale? Because if your secret sauce is understanding the local community, how do you scale?
So we're working with the organizations in local communities. So what we're doing first of all is with our solution. So with our tips program, you know, there's millions of people who have this across the country. So as long as they're getting those little knowledge bites, that's going to be helpful. On the other hand, if you have a community that has a need, there will be, like, for example, property managers, HR programs. Like, we're going through this union right now. They have 700 members, so we're trying to bring it through a corporation and to deliver it that way.
All right.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much. Up next, we have Infratico by Kenji Ono.
Do you have slides downloaded somewhere?
Wait. Oh, I refund them.
Oh, you have it?
Where'd the Zoom go?
There we go. All right.
All right. I am Kenji from Infrastructure Analytics Company. We go by Infratico. And our mission statement is to enable smart cities. Specifically, we want to embed electronics into the infrastructure. We want to do it for two reasons. We want to enable sensing of the infrastructure, and we want to allow the infrastructure to talk to everything around it that's smart. And within that whole smart cities initiative, our beachhead is paved road surfaces and talking to cars that drive on those surfaces. And some of the benefits we can offer there are trust and security in the information we're receiving. A lot of the self-driving cars right now, they're using cameras or LiDAR, and those tend to fail in inclement weather, especially if your road surfaces get covered in snow. There's nothing to look at. Whereas we're going to have wireless electronics inside the infrastructure that can talk to the car regardless of the weather. There are also some certain threats about malicious tampering. There's this news article where Tesla failed when some letters were put on a stop sign. It failed to recognize it was a stop sign. Whereas our electronic sensors, you'll know that it's definitely a stop sign because that data is coming directly from the infrastructure. Also, by having these sensors underneath the pavement, we can give you unique data about the structural health of that pavement surface. So the product we offer has two technical thrusts. One is related to communications. We have a new technology that allows local short-range wireless communication. It has a lifespan that can match the duration of infrastructure, so it's measured in decades versus something like your smartphone, which dies in a day. And we also have latency that can actually beat the Hyperloop, if that ever comes into existence. That's in comparison to battery-free technologies such as like your SEPTA key, which takes several seconds to respond. And this was validated in the IEEE RFID Mega Challenge 2019. We won first place in that. And then on the sensor side, we offer a technology for dynamic data collection. This is for the condition-based monitoring. And this has a patent protecting the sensing technology at Michigan State University. We can also offer dynamic data such as the emergency verification. So after a catastrophic event, we can tell you whether the structure is still safe to drive on. And we can also give you the static information, like the stop sign information. We can tell an incoming car that there's a stop sign 100 feet ahead. And at the same time, we can kind of meld that into semi-dynamic information where we don't just send the information to an oncoming car that there's a stop sign ahead, but we send the information out to the intersection. We tell them there's a car approaching the intersection from the east side. So we can really give this extra information that vision-based systems and the current human drivers don't have. So sensor as a product, competing sensors are in the $1,000 range. We think we have a path forward to $10 per sensor. We're probably going to offer the communication side more as a service. We're envisioning something of a premium where you get some information for free, other information you pay a premium for. The market opportunity for smart cities is obviously $1 trillion thing. It's huge. It's a buzzword. Government recently passed legislation to spend $1 trillion in the next 5 years. Within that, there's $11 billion specifically for new road safety programs, which would be very well fit for our technology. Outside of that, we also have a technology that can be used on about 800 billion of the money that's been allocated. So there's a lot of opportunities we could target in the next 5 years. And even outside of public infrastructure, there's $1 trillion worth of private infrastructure that would be useful to use this technology. So examples of our competition, we have 3M, that's your paint on the road. That's one of our competitors. We have competitors like Siemens and Cisco. They make roadside units. These are actually mostly the cameras you find in the intersections in the city. Other competitions like Tesla, Waymo, these are the vision and LiDAR-based self-driving cars. And then the closest competitors in terms of sensors, National Instruments and Dynatest, the guys that sell wired sensors for $1,000. Those are the guys we think we can all beat on some certain aspect of the value proposition. And really with smart cities, the thing we kept hearing in our customer discovery process was that there is no dominant player. And even if they wanted to, they can't meet the demand because there's so much demand from around the world. So very briefly, other markets we could address, interesting ones would be like insurance, where they want to see what the health of a structure is before they change the price of the insurance premiums. There's stuff like shipping containers. We can tell you whether the product was damaged because of incorrect handling. There was also interesting research we did in biomedical devices for things like spinal fusion and bone healing, but we kind of stay away from that because we have the FDA hurdles we have to worry about. So Impratico and the team.
All right, Kenji, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to stop you there. Let's open it up for questions from the judges.
So do I understand correctly that you are selling a sensor that is not wired that is embedded in the infrastructure? In other words, it's embedded in the roads?
Correct.
How do you install it?
So our device is a little quarter-sized unit. So for retrofitting, you would have to drill into the road, pull out a core, put our sensor in, and close it up. But the easiest path forward would be next time you repave the surface while it's wet, you just throw a bunch of these into the wet concrete or the asphalt.
Okay.
So there is so much money in this space, and there are lots of people I'd love for you to meet if you don't know them already here, even in Philadelphia. Focus on this. I thought that Michigan State owned the patent. You
Yes.
said. Can you explain then how that relates to your company and what you all have?
Yes, I kind of skipped that or missed that part because I didn't time it correctly. But one of our members is a professor at Michigan State University in civil engineering. I also did my undergrad and master's over there. So we have the patent through some of our academic research. Right now, the terms they're offering us are 1% on revenue, which is pretty tolerable. And right now we have the exclusive option, so no one else can license it before us.
So who is the customer then? Who do you actually sell to?
Yeah, so I think the two main customers would be the construction companies who are making the surface of the road, because they want to tell the people that bought the road from them that, yeah, we did it correctly. Yes, this is going to last another 10 years. It's going to last another 5 years. The other angle is the infrastructure owners, such as the government, or as I mentioned, there's a lot of private owners, and they're going to see value from the condition-based monitoring. Because with the information, we can tell them that a pothole is going to appear 6 months from now, and there's a pothole over there that's going to appear in 3 months, and then they can schedule their maintenance around it, which we've heard could save them 50% in terms of their maintenance costs, because they can organize their labor and such accordingly.
Startups can come in and say that their competitor is Tesla, Ford, 3M. Can you speak about where you see the entree for such a small startup in a world of these giants?
Yeah, so we are kind of positioned as a tech company. We have a unique patent around a quantum sensor, so we have a lot of buzz there. In terms of direct competitors, those are just the obvious ones I thought you would recognize. There are smaller players that are more in the 100 million, 10 million annual revenue, but they don't offer as wide of a technology solution as we do.
Where would you start? I mean, you're a small player, your competitors are huge. What is your plan to penetrate the market? Are you looking to go to private infrastructure? I mean, are you entering the private sector first or the public sector? What's your approach?
Right now we have a CIBR phase 1. That's how we're operating in the first year while we search for customers. We are in negotiations right now with Tensar Corporation, which is a private infrastructure building company. They make geotextiles for roads, and they're looking to purchase from us next year, depending on our test results. So I would say private is our beachhead.
All right, well, thank you so much, Kenji. Right now we have Jochi, with the CEO, Yash.
Do you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Awesome. I'll get started. 2 years ago, I graduated from high school and I completely hated it. Socially, I had a great group of friends, had a number of hobbies, and I did well academically. But it was my experience going from middle to high school where I noticed the lack of support students had outside of the classroom. We were expected to plan intensive schedules, engage in clubs and organizations for our resumes and college prep, get used to teachers not babying us anymore, schedule meetings on our own time to get support, and develop extensive study skills to take on difficult courses. After speaking with my peers and conducting surveys with over 900 students, I realized that there are three main problems with how student life is dealt with in middle and high schools across America. For the past 13 months, I've focused on coming up with a solution to support these students in order to create a more fulfilling, less stressful schooling experience. Hi guys, my name is Yash, and I'm currently a second-year student at the University of Pennsylvania, studying systems engineering and the founder of Jochi. Our solution is a one-stop shop web and mobile application that supports middle and high school students with their day-to-day needs outside of the classroom. We're a complementary solution to learning management systems and integrate directly into these learning management and calendar systems that schools already have. Through our platform, we hope to enable students to develop critical, interpersonal, metacognitive, and other life skills. What makes us stand apart from other solutions such as physical planners and mobile apps is that our solution is student-centric, it integrates with school systems, and it's multi-purpose. Let's take a look at some of our other competitors. Jochi's end users are middle and high school students. However, Jochi is still extremely beneficial to teachers and admin. Our seamless scheduling feature and club portal simplifies the lives of teachers, and our bi-yearly analytics provide admin insights they've never been able to access before. EdTech is one of the hottest fields currently. There are over 42,000 middle and high schools in the United States, of which 98% of students have internet access. We hope to capture a percentage of this rapidly growing market and believe that this market size is worth around $4 billion. Now, our business model operates in the following way. We charge an initial implementation fee of $2,000 to get set up, and that's followed by a yearly subscription charge per student. Unlike many of the other solutions I mentioned before, the payment of Jochi and of using our services falls entirely on the school admin opposed to students and parents. While this all sounds great, how do we know that Jochi will actually succeed and I'm not just splurring nonsense? We're incredibly excited to be launching a pilot program in 2022 with a few schools. We've already had a great response with our pilot search. Our current partners include the American School in London, one of the best international schools worldwide, Del Barton School, the second best Catholic school in the United States, Masterman High, the best school in Philadelphia, and many more. Furthermore, we're a certified partner with PowerSchool, one of the leading learning management systems out there. Now, throughout the development process, we wanted to ensure that we were building the best product we could. And so we had regular test groups of high school students, who actually students of the American School of London, share their insights throughout. Finally, we've even been recognized by top EdTech publications such as EdSearch. We take pride in the fact that our founding team is entirely composed of undergraduate and MBA students, passionate about solving the problem at hand while having relevant insights. I'm genuinely very grateful to be surrounded by such creative and motivated individuals that make me certain that there cannot be a better team to build this product out than us. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I guess one of my questions is, as you've been talking to the schools, if you're asking the schools to pay for this, what's the ROI to the schools? How do they benefit?
Yeah, definitely. So already just from talking to schools, there's a clear indication that the market is actually among private schools and like for-profit schools opposed to public schools who its budget for public school per student is around $7 to $12. So to spend $6 for public school students is just not feasible whatsoever. However, from a private school's perspective, the fact that these students, they're managing their student life better, and we can prove that with data and insights, while also showing them that data, and that's kind of a clear indication of that the solution is has an impact.
And does it interface with other apps that the student might be using? For instance, our family, we use Apple, the calendar for things. So would that be able to be incorporated, or is it only what the school allows to be brought in?
Yeah, so we integrate with the existing school systems. Currently, students have two main systems when it comes to technology. They have their learning management system where they upload their homeworks, they do their exams, they can view class recording, and then they have their calendar systems such as Google Calendars. For the calendar aspect, we allow teachers to download all of their meetings that students make on Jochi so that it's not disruptive to their tools. But for the students, we kind of expect them to use the Jochi planner simply because the whole platform runs. So you have all your assignments that are directly from your teacher's classes on the Jochi app. You have all the meetings you're making with peers and faculty directly on the Jochi planner on our app. You have all your club meetings and all your extracurriculars directly there, as well as study times.
Okay, so my son uses Canvas today at his school. Does your platform replace it, or it interfaces with it?
Yeah, so Canvas is a learning management system, and that's what we would integrate with. So for example, your son would log on to Jochi, and in his planner, he would see all of his classes directly from Canvas. And the reason why there's a need for a solution and why tools like Canvas aren't just a learning management system, but a student life management platform is that they're more focused on what's there and your classes, opposed to the student life that occurs outside the class.
All right, well, I think that wraps up our questions. Thank you so much, Josh. Next up, we have Legashare with CEO Maddie Edgar.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Y'all see my screen all right?
Yes.
Great. Okay. All right. Computer science as a global discipline is predominantly English-based. However, 16% of the world's population speak English, and only 4% speak English natively. The common denominator between developers is not a programming language nor a software, but a natural language that only a small percentage of the world can understand. Legashare creates access for the other 96% of the world to code in the context of their native language. We empower users to build out their ideas in any language of their choice, programming language and natural language alike. Hello, good evening. My name is Maddie Edgar, and I'm the founder of Legashare. These are just a handful of the most popular programming languages around the world, all of which are based in English. Non-native English speakers lack the support to thrive mastering code in a foreign language. That's why we built Legashare, an open source collection of native language-based developer tools and resources designed for education, innovation, and collaboration. 25 million new developers are expected to enter the workforce by 2030. To educate the emerging workforce, the edtech market is expected to grow from a current $90 to $378 billion by 2028. Based off of the current market demographics, we expect to capture 3% of in the next 5 years, as an estimated 5.6 are non-native English speakers. However, with the technology powering Legashare, the market size of potential technical talent exponentially increases as we welcome in the technologically unreached. And we're uniquely positioned to be the only native language-based solution in bridging this digital divide. So when a developer is writing a program like this one, they'll use an application that knows the language. It'll highlight keywords, format according to a specific style, and even point out errors. But what if the user doesn't know the language? With Legashare, these two programs written in English and Finnish are actually a one-for-one direct translation when they get down to the zeros and the ones. So Legashare creates an abstraction on top of popular programming languages like Python and JavaScript, meaning any developer can tap into high skill marketability, industry demand, community strength, and access to the best tools without having to know English. Our open core model leverages the power of open source to drive innovation to seamlessly integrate into a developer's environment with a native language-based text editor and extensions. Legashare's translation API is a foundational technology integrated into all of our products and available as a SaaS application to other developers and developer tool companies. The API also enables us to provide fully native language-based programming curriculum for educational institutions. We have 32 languages in development, from Arabic to Swahili, and it's been really exciting to see our open source contributors who are really passionate about solving this problem because it's a personal problem for many of them. Now, there are standalone programming languages that are based in other natural languages like Qualb, Yorling, and Perl-Gata, but the primary use case rarely extends past research. And companies like Code.org or Scratch do offer limited translated options in their software, but English is still necessary to read, use, or run the code. Through my life's experiences and passions, I found that language is a major barrier to education and access for underrepresented communities, particularly in technology. I started developing prototypes for native language-based tools while studying computer science and mathematical decision sciences at UNC Chapel Hill. But Legashare's strongest asset is probably our global and growing open source team. We have over 197 individuals from 31 countries, each providing and sharing their diverse backgrounds to give incredible insight to Legashare's functionality. The next milestones for our startup are centered around innovation and education initiatives. This would support us developing an Intro to Python course with our open source IDE. I will teach this course in English and invite our open source community to translate and record the content into their respective native language. Thank you so much for your time, and let's build this bridge together.
Any questions from the judges?
Sure, thanks, Maddie. That is really clever. It's one of those things you don't think about, right? I never thought that most code is written in English, and I guess it's sort of obvious, but that doesn't make it right. So congratulations for taking it on. So just to be clear though, I still write in Java, but I write in my own language and it drops in. So it sits over the top, it doesn't replace it.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about your personal experience. Let me go back to that slide. So I can code in Java in English, and
Yep.
you can code in Java, and our native language IDE, our text editor, actually enables it. So it's a seamless experience where it looks the same, and we're working towards being able to actually translate as we go.
Right. And that translation is proprietary, or you're using publicly available, because there are, thousands of translators available.
Exactly. So that's actually where we're leveraging our open source community to provide contextualized and localized translations, because that's where I feel like, especially as we add all these different languages, that contextualized translations really add the most insight. And so that's where our open source community is really centered. So we have 32 different languages that are built around 32 different teams with native language or native speakers providing their translations for these words.
That's clever.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mark.
How do you ensure the quality of the translations? Are your open source interpreters or translators certified? Do they go through a training process? The quality of translated documents can vary a lot.
Yes, and we've definitely found that through a couple of years of going through this process. And so we do, when we add a new language, we do ask and train up a native language program or language manager that kind of oversees that. So they're the person that's making sure that it's not inappropriate words or anything that might be taken the wrong way, and just kind of managing our community for that specific language. And so they're also our biggest advocate for bringing people that would probably bring valuable insight onto that language team. And so I provide as much language context that I can for the languages that I know, and for the ones that I don't. Our open source community is actually, it really is our strongest asset, because these contributors are so passionate about building the solution that they bring their whole friends and communities and universities to translate these things for them.
Will your current employer be a customer for this?
Would my current employer? So
I mean, you work in a tech company, right?
So I actually am working on this full time now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I've been funding myself for the past several years, and now I'm looking to expand because we're getting a lot of traction.
Got it. Okay.
But that's also a big reason for our open source community. So they take it into their workplaces or into their classrooms. And that's where we've seen a lot of growth, where they're bringing their coworkers to come and contribute and share their insights with us.
And can you tell me the business model again? I missed. I was thinking about the tech. I missed the business model.
You're good. You're good. Okay, so we have an open core model. So our translation API and our native language based IDE, so the text editor that they can code in, is open source and available for free. So that's to get people in the door and to get it comfortable with using. And then we have a B2B business model for our curriculum. So I currently have some partnerships with educational institutions like coding boot camps and online schools to provide computer science education for them. And so that's where we're sending, that's where we're building out that side of the business. And then also for our translation API, We do also have enterprise options to integrate more fully into a company's work lifestyle or life cycle.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cut you off there, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your question.
Next up, we have All In Natural with Mariela Salazar, President.
I am outside of Steinke, Brookings Institution, and now one Copenhagen. I am natural mission is to improve the international supply chain in the food system by avoiding intermediaries and working directly with rural farmers. I come from Delaware with my mother, and I used to work together, and she taught me everything about quinoa. And this opportunity starts when I went to a friend's house and he offered me quinoa for dinner. I was so impressed and happy that I found that New York Times has over 165 recipes made with quinoa. I was so happy that I called my mother to tell her how Americans love quinoa. And what I found is that she was very sad because things were not doing great with quinoa. To give you an idea, my mother gets less than 50 cents per 1 pound of quinoa, and Americans, you pay over $10 for the same amount. And the reason, after a deep research, is that I found is that there are too many intermediaries in the international food business. So give me the land at risk, cost, and time, over manipulation, overhead, and profit, of course, and also over time in the international process. And our solution generates direct ties with minorities in agriculture and individuals and companies that are looking for organic and great ingredients. The way how we are gonna make money is because when we employ each intermediary, we reduce our variable costs, and with that, our business is sustainable but also scalable, because when we talk about quinoa, we are talking about a US market about over 100 million. But when we see about cacao and coffee, the markets are bigger. We want to work with other, the way how we are going to escalate is by working with other organic well-demanded products, selling to other countries and continents, and also developing new products with our ingredients. Sorry. Our team, I am full-time working on this project, and I am here looking for companies, clients, and many resources. Bill is in charge of the operation in the capital of Peru, Lima, where things happen, and Alfredo is where the farmers are. We need resources. The $5,000 will be very useful to starting to get our certifications as organic trader and also as a fair trader commercialization company. And in the future, we plan to apply blockchain to assure the traceability to our business. Thank you very much. We create strong ties with people in the food industry so they can trust food. Thank you very much.
questions from the judges? Can you, it's strange with you three there and not seeing me. I'm just trying to make sure we give everybody a fair chance of questions. But if I take your silence, I'll go ahead. Can you speak a little bit more to what it is you are doing that's going to break away the need that currently exists, that's set up the opportunities for local brokers, exporters, and all those along the line?
So right now, the main problem that it's in the international food market is that there are many intermediaries because the minorities in agriculture doesn't have access to clients, or they don't speak the Spanish very well, or what is more, they don't speak English. So, and they don't have access also to technology and to sales skills, and that is why they cannot have easy access to the international market, and that is why the intermediaries are important in the international food system. So here, what I'm trying to do is avoid them believing that I can go to clients that I am ready to start looking for the client. So yeah, that is why we are doing it.
Yeah, I had, I guess, a similar question is a lot of, well, I'm assuming all of those intermediaries perform important functions. They may not be very efficient, but they know export controls, they know licenses, they can ship in bulk, they probably carry some risk around inventory and spoilage and insurance and those sort of things. So have you captured all of those services, and are you sure you can produce them at a lower cost?
Yeah. Right now, the organization that I am working with, they have the organic certification, and I have the support of the government to prove that they are putting people experts in order to help us with the process. We know also the insurance, the international transportation, and of course, right now, for example, we know that there are some problems because in the international shipping and stuff. So we are aware. But yeah, we are starting, and it's gonna be a learning process as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Margaret.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up, we have Politic.
Hello, yes. Let me just share my screen here. Okay. If we're all set, we should be good to go. So, all right, yeah, so this is Politic, and my name is Cole Hayner.
And my name is Sam Shoston, and this is our app, our idea. So right now we are trying to address how citizens communicate. Obviously, it's over social media and email or mail, and there's a lot of problems with this current communication. So we're looking to solve that issue. And political officials, they also are able to communicate currently with their citizens, but it's not really effective. Social media, they need to access every platform to send the same announcement. And then obviously the press, limited time on screen, and obviously generally subject to media bias. So the problem, as we've already sort of outlined, the current communication between civilians and government is very outdated. There's no reliable method for voicing your opinions and concerns, politicians, and the political officials have poor access to information about how citizens feel, and also intergovernmental communication methods are lacking.
So what does that solution look like? And that's Politic. It's basically a formal communication platform for government so they can communicate with the people in their town or city, and also within the departments in that government as well. Here's some of just the highlights of basically the tools we're able to provide. There's a dashboard for the politicians, and I use politicians in this very differently. It could be any elected official or someone in the government sector, to be honest, because they can all use this tool. And the one important thing is the AI message organization. This basically makes it easy for people to, politicians to receive all that information from the people in their local town or city and be able to actually see insights about that data and get the information they need. So how does it work? Basically, a politician will just go onto the politician dashboard on our website. They log in and they can see all their communication needs. They have messages from their people in their town, other politicians in their area, different departments. They have a message to the water department for some reason. They can see questions from people in their town as well. It highlights the issues. They can announce basically to everyone and anyone they need to over all their social media platforms with one click. So it's real simple, especially during emergencies. And they can send polls out to see, what do their town think about certain ideas they want to know about. So on the citizen side, basically you go to the website, you can follow the link, or you can go to the actual politician's website they already have. It's really simple. The politician just copy and paste a code block onto their website, embed it right there, the existing platform they already have. And you can send them a message, and the AI will then go through that message and decide, what is this actually about? What are they trying to say? And it categorizes it on the politician's side. And as you can see here as well, they can take a poll, yes or no, and they have to be verified with an ID to do that, basically so people aren't voting a million times. It's one vote per person.
So market research. I think the biggest thing that we took away from doing some early market research is we asked people how they feel, or if their voice is being heard by politicians, and 3.5% of people said that they don't feel like their voice is being heard. And we saw it to be a major issue. We did talk to a mayor, and obviously on the politician side, they're also interested in using this. They find it could be very effective and useful in daily political life. So there's a competitor in this space. They're also based out of Philadelphia. It's called TIP, Transparency in Politics. They have an elected official dashboard, and they also have a public facing platform, which is in a questionnaire format. So it summarizes information that's then sent to the politicians from the constituents.
So how do we make money? Basically, every elected official or candidate can subscribe and use the politician dashboard and implement it into their already existing website for $100 a month. And that we want to go with a scaling model as well afterwards a little time, because it's a small town of 2,000 people compared to 20,000 people, obviously a lot of different resources. And also we can have sponsored polls. If an advocacy group wants to say, what do you think about this? $10 for each poll they want to do for that on our website. So a little bit about us. My name is Cole Hainer. As I said before, I'm a student at Drexel University. I'm majoring in software engineering and a minor in entrepreneurship.
And I'm Sam Shostin. I'm a 3L at Drexel Law. I'm interested in politics, government, and everything of that nature. And I'm interested in trying to solve the communication issue that's present in our culture and society.
So the use of funds, what we use this for, basically to get us on our feet, any IP, trademark, legal stuff, and also the database and any backend services, just they actually have the website run properly and get people and politicians what they actually need. So thank you. We just hit 5 minutes. Is there any questions you might have? We're very welcome. We're very happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I'm just I'm thinking about this, like Kenyatta is my councilman, right? And in my neighborhood Facebook page, when someone's upset about something, they go, yo, Kenyatta, take a look at this. And he's in, and he responds. Whether something happens or not is another story, but he's responding, he's really reading his social feeds because it's very public. So I'm trying to understand how something that's different is going to be used when they already have to, they're already having trouble dealing with faxes and emails and letters and social media.
Right.
How will that work?
Yeah, so basically, I'll give you an example. This is an evolution from those existing systems because they don't work as well as they really should. Say, 20 people are complaining about a pothole on a road in town. They can go to the Facebook page and they can say that, and he can try to respond to every single one. Some are going to get avoided, some won't really know. And there might be 100 other million issues on that page. With us, you just send them an email, the classic or a method, or you go on the website and input your actual message you want to there. And the AI is able to pick out like, hey, pothole on this road. And then it's able to say, there are 30 people saying something about this and only 2 people saying something about this. He's able to see these are the most important problems. These are the most focus areas we have to really focus on right now. It makes it easier for the politician or mayor or whoever to basically go through all this.
Is it working with his current email system, or is it
Yeah,
something else?
Well, we want people to go through the messaging platform we already have, but since people have his email and want to email him, you can also import your own emails if you're the politician. You know, 'cause we don't want to get rid of that. But our vision is this is the formal communication method, because emails, it's just a list of everything possible. There's no way to organize it and make sure you get information out of all the subject lines pretty much in an instant.
What Ellen's getting at there is that the competition really isn't just TIP, another company that probably all 4 of us have seen in some way in the past couple of years. It's every other thing that they currently do and all the barriers to making change for people who don't like to make change anyhow. Any other thoughts on how you acquire customers when that's kind of the culture they're working in?
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't have time at the end right there, but we basically we're going to small local towns around Philadelphia, talking to politicians and seeing if this is something you know, they actually want to use, because we think it'd be help to them. Basically, how it's different from those other things is basically just it's formal, it's concise, it gets straight to the point. There's not the whole, I mean, you see on Facebook and social media and just the, you know, even emails, it's just a mumbled a mumbled, you know, mess pretty much. And basically this is just the next evolution to that, I would say. It organizes everything is the best way I can put it with the software we have, because the systems we have are simply outdated or not really effective.
All right, Cole. Thank you so much, Politic. Next up, we have Max with Rally.
Hey, thank you. Let me just try and share this. Can we all see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Hey, I'm Max. I'm introducing Rally. Rally's goal is to democratize wholesale. Today, e-commerce has evolved how we shop, but our collective bargaining power as consumers remains untapped. And it's no secret. An everyday example of this is toothpaste. At Target, a $10 tube of toothpaste falls to just $8 per unit if you buy just a 2-pack. At Costco, that same thing happens, and it falls to just $6 per unit if you buy a 6-pack. But the best deal of all is wholesale at just $2 per unit. The catch, that price is only possible if you opt to buy in a 100-pack. And that's precisely the problem. Because who wants to buy in a 100-pack of toothpaste? Today, only institutional buyers have that capacity. And when they buy like that, they direct goods through layers of distribution to ensure they eventually find their way to you and me at retail prices. Each step of the way, that toothpaste gets marked up to cover things like rent, utilities, taxes, wages, gas, storage, and of course, profit margins. As a result, consumers end up paying an average of 3 times what the manufacturers charged the original buyer for the goods. The competition, there's a lot of retailers out there, but they haven't exactly changed much over the years. They're still doing the same old thing, the same old way. And that's despite the internet having evolved how we work, browse, and connect with others as a society. To me, this highlights a massive opportunity, and that the collective bargaining power of consumers remains untapped. And that's Rally's purpose, to aggregate all that fragmented demand distributed between countless resellers and package it up for manufacturers so that consumers get really great prices. In other words, Rally aims to enable Consumer 2.0, a consumer that leverages the full potential of his or her bargaining power by teaming up with others and purchasing directly from manufacturers as a collective. Rally enables Consumer 2.0 through its social commerce app, where consumers can choose between 2 prices for all items, a price for individual purchases and a price for team purchases. Users opting for a team purchase may either initiate their own team for the best price or join an existing team aggregated by Rally for a slightly higher price. When users initiate their own team, they're prompted to use social platforms to encourage friends to join their purchase. Discounts then increase for each buyer added to the group. Once teams are confirmed, products ship. This incentive structure powers a viral growth mechanic that benefits all parties involved. And the timing to implement it has never been better. Take these three companies, for example. Instagram laid the foundation for redistributed networks and essentially gives Rally demand on a silver platter. Airbnb and Uber as well introduced us to the sharing economy, demonstrating that decentralized and hyperlocal warehousing is absolutely possible at cheaper rates. DoorDash proved that we can leverage each other to fulfill last mile delivery if we provide basic tools to oversee the process. As for Rally's business model, Rally saves a lot on advertising because each user is constantly promoting the platform. So we pass those savings on to consumers. Instead, we earn revenue a bit like Google by allowing manufacturers to advertise on our platform as they develop their own brands. We also take a small cut of each sale, sell data to producers, helping them to make better products. And eventually, once we reach scale, we plan to monetize access via a subscription model. Our core market is massive. Validation efforts have helped us understand that households earning $75,000 or less are eager to use Rally and share deals to get discounts, especially on high frequency necessities, which they have to buy anyways. Applying this demographic's average annual spend to things like toilet paper, soap, and detergent, this yields a total addressable market of approximately $28 billion. And if we zoom way out, we're actually participating in the $10 trillion US wholesale market and the $36 billion US social commerce market, which by the way has a 28% compounded average annual growth rate and is predicted to be $3 trillion by 2028 globally. Thus far, I've built out a preliminary website with an early sign-up link to help gauge interest for the platform. The results have been pretty exciting. And it turns out that for between $4,000 and $6,000, this is no joke, Rally can actually build an MVP to get things going, like I showed you before, and build up the structure of deal sharing and everything that follows. That's all I have for today. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Mac. Interesting idea. Who holds the inventory?
So it's coming directly, when you say holds, what do you mean? Sorry.
Physically, where does the inventory sit? Do you have a warehouse?
No, so there's no warehouse. The idea is to get it directly from the manufacturer to the end consumer with as limited warehousing as possible, just a direct shipping.
Are they set up to direct ship?
Some are, some are not. That becomes a problem as we scale and bring on manufacturers. They need the capabilities to be more in line with that. But some are, yeah.
And have you spoken to brands to see if they want that business?
Yeah, so I have, and it's mixed. So the way I like to explain it is that if you go to Amazon, you're usually not going to go beyond the first page of sellers, and some manufacturers sell their stuff on Amazon. But the reality is that there's 99 other pages there, and those sellers are not getting the activity that they would like. And those are the people that are willing to sell their products this way. It's the people that don't have the top spot on Amazon or Google. And the reality is they're making the same SKU products. So
how did you come across, what were you doing that caused you to come up with this concept?
Yeah, so I have a pretty weird background in that I actually attended university in Shanghai, China, and spent a lot of time there and started a manufacturing business out of my dorm room, or not manufacturing, reselling business out of my dorm room, where I was buying stuff directly from the manufacturers and selling them to my classmates because they all had to travel home from Shanghai. And in doing that, I spoke a lot to manufacturers and got to understand the business and see the markups that were taking place, and honestly became offended by it to the extent that I came to America and just couldn't fathom the prices I was paying for a lot of things, whether they were manufactured in the US or in China. It's just, I got to understand the markup, and then I started going to trade shows and seeing that, and it was bothersome. And then on top of that, a company that was doing something similar started in Shanghai while I was there. It's now grown to become one of the biggest e-commerce platforms actually in the world, though it's strictly Chinese and they have no plans to extend out of there.
So how much work, it sounded like, someone is the champion of this, right? So say Jennifer decides her family needs toothpaste. If I understand it, she has to convince 100 other people to
No,
use
no.
toothpaste? No.
No, great question. So no, the reality of what I want to try and do, and I think I actually have a slide I can show you. It's kind of like this. I'm trying to get it to groups of 5 people, but the idea is that if you have enough groups of 5 people, you're getting to 100 and you're getting to 1,000, and you're actually getting to a lot more because it's a very achievable number for people to reach. And you're incentivizing them to grow in a way that, they've invited 2 people, but the price is going to continue falling if they fill that number of 5. And if everyone does that, suddenly you're sending that same order that maybe Target or Walmart is placing, but as a consumer level, directly to the manufacturers, and kind of taking the arbitrage for the consumer by passing on the marketing cost to them, or savings rather.
All right, Max, thank you so much. Next up, we have Youth Care Collective and Jamal.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. Great. Can everyone see this all right?
Yes.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Joelle Talaferro, and I am the founder of Your Care Collective, where we help remote and independent workers increase their well-being through community. We do this by matching employees to individualized peer accountability groups and expert designed curriculum. Our vision is that everyone has a community where they feel cared for and capable of doing their best work. Your Care Collective was born out of the experiences of my need for community at a time when I felt completely alone. In 2018, I started my dream job at a mission-based organization, and I was working remotely for the first time. This photo is of me on stage in front of 700 professionals, seemingly living the dream. But I was burnt out, overwhelmed, and feeling disconnected from my team. I thought I was alone in these feelings until I had a pivotal conversation with a colleague who shared that she was experiencing the same difficulties. With 25 to 30% of the workforce continuing to work remotely beyond 2021, remote workers need support to minimize feelings of isolation, disengagement, and burnout. The problem is that oftentimes employers do not have insight into the well-being needs of their remote employees because of the disconnection from the in-office experience. This has led to 70% of professionals feeling as if their employers are not doing enough to prevent or alleviate their burnout. And this is why community matters. Community mattered for me in the story that I just shared for you, and it matters for employees' overall engagement, productivity, well-being, and ultimately retention of remote workers who are subject to higher levels of burnout than in-office employees. No burnout means happy employees, and higher productivity and retention is happy employers. Our solution combines well-being resources with peer accountability and organizational support. We serve employees' needs through individualized curriculum and integrate accountability through peer group matching. We're a B2B2C subscription-based community platform, and we challenge organizations to care for their employees through quarterly reporting and proactive solutions. Starting at the individual level, we match employees with 6 peers based on an assessment of their well-being needs and goals. Groups will meet monthly for 6 to 12 months, engaging with the YCC well-being curriculum and gathering for live support sessions with their peer group. Participants' progress is assessed throughout the program to provide organizations insight into their employees' state of well-being, even when they don't work from the office. We have a range of competitors in the market who touch on some aspect of the work that we do, but are missing community engagement and individualized curriculum. When we launch our custom platform in 2022, our technology will enhance our competitive advantage to include adaptable content, automatic peer group matching, and an employer dashboard. Since our founding in June of 2020, we have supported these organizations through remote transition while developing our scalable model with the help of key partners like Philly Startup Leaders and LA21. Through custom workshops and culture assessments, we were able to generate consistent revenue and learn about what remote employees really want for their well-being. This data led to the development of our current model, which we will test in January through an accelerated beta program. We currently have 4 organizations interested in joining our beta and have supported over 500 program participants and 6 organizations from our content, curriculum, and programming so far. The time for this platform is now. More than ever, organizations are offering remote work, and the national workplace wellness market is valued at $47 billion and estimated to grow. We aim to enter the market by partnering with small and medium-sized businesses in Philadelphia over the next 6 months to validate our product and inform which features we build into our custom platform before expanding to enterprise clients. The team behind this vision is our trained mental health professionals and experts in their content area. We're also supported by a database of wellness practitioners who we reach out to on an ad hoc basis. We're searching for our tech team and are really hoping that this $5,000 investment will help us to compensate software developers as we build our mobile app in 2022 and invest in our B2B sales strategy. We're also seeking advisors and participants for our beta group. So if you are interested in Your Care Collective and have something you can offer, please stay in touch. We look forward to helping you to care more for your employees. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to answering your questions.
This is a big problem. This is a big problem. So are the cohorts within a company, or are you matching people with people outside the company?
So in our beta program, we're going to be matching people with external peers as well as internal. So we'll work with one organization to do internal matching and really provide that comprehensive data of like, this is your well-being. This is what it looks like. Here's the full picture. And we'll also be testing at the individual level, how to match them with external peers, also to test like the level of trust. I've heard feedback that some folks might want to participate outside of their organization so that they can really utilize the space to explore future career options and their personal development.
Do you monitor the communication going on? Is there any concern about inappropriate, because the company's paying for it, so they're potentially exposed from a liability point of view?
Yeah, so we have community engagement interns right now, and ideally we'll build them out to be a community engagement team that is monitoring our platform. Right now we're operating through and building the community on Slack. So we're consistently in the community and monitoring it. When we build an external platform for an organization, we would have an assigned community engagement manager for that organization.
Maybe I missed it, but do you have a pricing model? Like who pays and how are you compensated?
Yeah, so we're B2B2C. Both individuals can pay a subscription. Our current pricing for that is $28 per month at the most foundational level. And organizations would pay less per employee the more employees that they have.
What are the few and most significant ways that this is different than a shared interest group or user group on other social media?
Yeah, like the competitors that I listed, we're also competing with masterminds and Facebook groups or people who are getting together just as colleagues and friends to support one another. Something that differentiates us from those platforms is that we are guiding them through a curriculum and we are keeping them accountable to meeting with one another and staying on track. And we're also in our full implementation, when we have our tech developed, we'll be adapting the curriculum to the individual needs of the participant. So when Joelle signs up and she's focused on her social well-being, I'll be getting curriculum that aligns with that, and it'll transition as my well-being goals and needs change. So it's really the curriculum piece as well as a community that's held accountable through one another and through our organization, keeping them on track.
All right, thank you so much, Joelle. Lastly, we have Wait, What Do You Do? With founder Steve Pisani.
See if the combination of alcohol and caffeine got me over this weird 2 years of not talking to people in front of people. Anyway, I'm Steve. Wait, what do you do? Career services company for data professionals. So don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of computers in the world now. There's a lot of data coming from those companies, people, all kinds of connectedness that is generating a ton more data than ever. And in order to process that data, there's been an explosion of new tools and roles in the data space that people really just have not gotten accustomed to. So in order to fill roles and jobs and whatnot, it's kind of coming to light as things develop. People are confused. They don't know exactly what to apply for. Companies don't know exactly what to label things. And because of this, people spend a lot more time in the hiring process, and there's a lot of dissatisfaction. So the solution I'm proposing with Wait, What Do You Do? Is a jobs platform that allows candidates to search by category, in description, information, and metadata around job postings in order to simplify the actual job search for all parties. The product is live right now. If you go to waitwhatdoyoudo.com, you can see it. But the process of using it is simple. You search by category instead of title. You can quickly understand posts without having to read each one so carefully, and then apply. The actual market of data is huge. There's a lot of people being hired right now. I'm one of them, and I'll get into that. But by 2026, there's an estimated 11.5 million people going to be in the workforce, and $450 billion in market cap for data services. The actual market that I'll be serving is the recruitment market at a much smaller 200 billion, with 400 million tech jobs posting every year. A humble 10,000 of those captured by the company would bring us well into the multi-million dollars of revenue. The actual business model to get that revenue is fairly simple. Right now, the first is live. Companies can pay in order to highlight their jobs, essentially getting more traction or more eyes on their jobs. What I'm working on right now is a resume database and candidate matching system, so that when a job is posted, immediately companies can be served candidates that match the posting. And finally, a expanded company profile page that a company can sell themselves and their culture around. The go-to-market strategy is one that is primarily digital, with search engine optimization and ads and social media being the core, but partnerships are also going to play a part with universities and boot camps and Slack communities and whatnot, where people hang out and learn, being a big part. The competition fall into two buckets: low quality jobs with a ton of people on them, and high quality jobs with not that many people on them. Diamond in the rough, diamond out in space. Both of them have the distinct disadvantage of candidates still having to read the descriptions very carefully. The competitive advantages are the ease of use brought on by the data and software that I've developed and collected. It has low overhead. The process in which we pre-process the jobs is actually bringing on an inclusivity portion, where by taking out the jargon and the overstuffed requirement sections, people feel more able to apply to jobs that they otherwise would not have. Another thing, I don't know if that first slide really had time to sink in, but I'm trying to go for something that's not that boring. Indeed's lame. Aiden's is awesome. Me, I am a data professional. I recently used my site in order to find a new job this week. I'm a developer and developed the whole thing myself. I have been in and around the startup community for my entire professional career and education. I'm an engineer by education over at Drexel with a master's in engineering management and a minor in entrepreneurship. The benefit of this funding is going to be marketing, the soft side of things. Me being a technical founder, that stuff is, worth the money. Don't get it. So tossing money at it, Google ads and whatnot. And additionally, automation tools that I do get are expensive. This will free up my time in order to develop more features and really just sink my teeth more into the marketing side of things. Thank you, and the QR code will take you right to the site. 5 minutes.
Nice job. So help me understand, what's the magic that you do that takes the junk that I send you, right, as an employer, and turns it into something that's better than on the other sites?
So I'm going to try not to nerd out too much, but more or less, I collect throughout the internet, I scrape the job descriptions, and the words in that description I use as basically tokens in order to, in a vector space, I know that this is like way out there, find the similarity between other jobs. More or less, if you use a certain word, a certain keyword such as a Python or SQL or some kind of key indicator, it moves you along some path. And by looking at thousands and thousands of jobs, those paths are similar between jobs that share the same what do you do, but not necessarily the same type. Does that make sense?
I mean, in a way, but I'm still not understanding how this is going to be like, sexier to people, and, they're still going to have to search by something. So
So more or less, I'm kind of setting up the site to be the authority of what the definition is, right? If you go to the site, I have the starting kind of frame as data professionals, where there's 4 categories: data science, data engineering, data analyst. Titles might be totally wacky in there, but you can select data scientist and you will see everything that is within that shared category. So those jobs have the same or similar descriptions. So they might have you using the same tools, they might have you doing the same things or have the same requirements. I'm going to be adding more kind of search features. So like if you use Google Maps and like you're looking for a restaurant, it'll end up looking a little bit like that, where you can say like, I want to see, engineering jobs with 3 years requirement and using Python. So something like that, and that's all based off of the description, which traditionally, if you were on Indeed, you would have to at least search down halfway under the job description, and then it would say like 2 years of Python experience. But I'm pre-processing that.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the challenge at the start is if you have no people looking, then the companies aren't interested, and if you have no jobs, then the people are not interested. So how do you get started to get a critical mass?
So this is the cold start problem. Great book, just came out. You should read it. But more or less, I'm taking jobs just from throughout the internet and posting them on the site. So I'm faking the jobs section. And as companies come in as my customers, they can highlight their jobs. So instead of having an ephemeral like job posting that just like tomorrow is down a peg, they could pay $300 to put it up at the top for a month, and people will see it for long.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. I think that's time. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Now the judges will gather in a breakout room. Margaret and I will join in person, and we will deliberate for 10 minutes and then come back with our finalists.
All right, so thank you everyone who presented tonight. I will have to say that you guys did an amazing job. This is going to be a really tough decision for the judges. So while everyone is deliberating, we would like to get some audience feedback on our which is tonight. So here we go, we have an audience poll. So if you guys want to go ahead and scan this QR code. Emily, what will this be taking us to?
This will be taking you to menti.com.
We're gonna do a poll. What is it? Our favorite pitch tonight.
Our favorite pitch tonight. I just put the link in virtual as well. I would encourage everyone to cast their votes for our fan favorite.
So this actually doesn't have any weight on the final winner, but we really think that this is important because I think the microphone is because the judges will probably have a different decision than the popular vote. Sorry, this microphone is, can you guys hear me? We'll give everyone a couple of minutes. And I guess if you're finished with the poll, just type in the chat that you're finished. And while we're waiting for everyone to complete the poll, do we have any questions or comments from the audience to any of the presenters tonight? Feedback? Oh wait, hold on 1 second. Are you giving feedback? You have a question? Okay, I'm going to give you the microphone. This is for Mariella. You want? All right, I'm going to let Mariella answer the question in the front.
So actually, when you eat quinoa, you can see in the market chips of quinoa. You can see like salad with quinoa, many things. And what quinoa comes with is more proteins, more fiber, and those things together makes the quinoa a superfood. And when you talk about organic, you talk also about the benefits for the healthy, but also the benefits for the environment, because when we talk about quinoa in the south and the altitude that is grow above 3,000 meters above the sea, that makes easy to grow the quinoa without pesticides. And the quinoa has something that we call saponin that covers the seed that allows to use less pesticides. So that is the amazing thing about quinoa. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mariella. I'm going to bring Emily Meltzer up here to announce the results of the poll.
Even though it's in front of everyone. I'm going to tell you all what's up here. I mean, it's still changing live, which is really interesting. So it looks like Joshi has won our audience favorite, which is awesome. It's funny, the last time we did this, we did 2 different questions. One was best concept and one was best presentation. I think it's really interesting that sometimes there are folks who you love the concept and maybe not so much the presentation and vice versa. So everyone has their favorites there, but it looks like there's a lot of representation up there, which is really awesome. We do have one other polling question to take those phones out of everyone. We got a poll.
All right, and while we go ahead and do the next question, does anyone have any other questions for any of the presenters tonight? Questions or comments, feedback? Or even, how did you feel presenting? Oh,
Gotta be scary.
I love this.
Yes, you guys all do deserve a round of applause. I would say all of the presentations tonight were very awesome. So thank you to everyone for coming out. Stupendous, that's a great word. Someone got a thesaurus up there. I realize I'm not on the camera screen. Of course, Jennifer. So how did you feel presenting? How was your experience? Or even, you know, we'd love to hear about your OnRamp experience as a whole.
Yeah, hi. So, I mean, the presentation experience was really fast, first of all. It felt like there was so much buildup. You know, we've been spending weeks. Everyone in here has been spending so much time and effort to put together these really amazing presentations. I'm blown away. I hope to continue to connect with people who are in here. I feel like I didn't get to talk to everyone who presented, so I hope to stay in contact. But yeah, I mean, overall, amazing growth opportunity. Mark and I learned a lot. So yeah, overall good experience. Thank you guys.
Thank you. And just so everyone knows, Jennifer and Marco are actually in Germany right now. So they're joining us from across the world. So thank you so much for coming and being a part of our group. And I would just say that, you know, even though this cohort is coming to a close, we really want you guys all to be a part of the OnRamp community, which is a continuing, you know, community. So we're going to have more opportunities for engagement in the future. So thank you so much.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take a second to pick on our folks in the room here. For anyone who pitched, do any of these words in particular stand out to you that you would like to speak more? If you identify with them or would like to speak more to them? Well, you have to speak in the microphone and come in front of everyone so they can see you. Because we're hybrid, so you know.
I understand. I was going to say encouraging stands out for me. Just seeing everyone get up and present their ideas and business ventures. It's good to see as someone who would like to be in that position. So encouraging really stands out.
Awesome. Well, hey, if anyone out there is interested in joining, if you are feeling encouraged by this presentation, the applications are currently open. If Angela wants to drop that link in the chat, yeah. For the next cohort of OnRamp, which we're really excited to kick off January 13th. Whoa. All right. You're gonna do it from there.
That'll be your website.
What are you doing, girl? I'm not signed in. That's all good. That's all good. But yeah, I like that with the word cloud, there's gonna be that healthy mix of the scary, overwhelming, combined with the encouraging, inspired, which I personally always feel when I'm experiencing the pitch competition. Does anyone who is in the audience like to share their experience watching a pitch competition? Cool. Or you can stay there, it doesn't matter.
I just thought it was cool how diverse. I thought it was cool how diverse all the idea was, how like each company, each pitch was so different in its idea and business model, and covers like so many different areas of business. I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
it's like there's infinite ideas out there. So
Definitely, and I think one thing I always take away is I learned about new problems that I didn't even know people are already working to solve them, which I think is absolutely incredible. Anyone else?
I'll expand on that.
Yeah.
Which is so like
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll expand on that. It's crazy how I think there were at least 2 or 3 other job or recruiting type companies, and like just the different perspective on even like the same space just expands like what I'm thinking about and the opportunities about, how to expand my company and just to think about it, like all of the different things that are out there. So it's pretty cool to see different perspectives.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, thank you, Steve. And I think also that's the benefit of using a cohort model. And Jen kind of spoke to this earlier about the benefit of being with everyone and seeing everyone's ideas is always inspiring and helps you think more critically about your own. And you coming up here? Yeah, I mean, keep going. You're doing great. I'm not gonna stop. We're gonna stop the screen share now. But now, I mean, does anyone else who pitched tonight or anyone else in the audience have any feedback? Or comments? Anyone else who didn't present, who was just an observer, do you have any comments for any of our presenters? Yeah. All right, we have one right here.
So my just curious, because I'm not familiar with this program. Can you just explain the program? I understand that you got a new cohort coming in. So can you just share with everybody, and I'm sorry I did come in late.
No, thank you so much for coming. So OnRamp is a entrepreneurial program for first-time founders. It's a free cohort-based program anyone can attend, but if you sign up, you have to attend 6 out of 8 workshops. And then if you do that, you can apply to be in the pitch competition. So, you know, this is everyone who's presented tonight has gone through 8 weeks of curriculum. And this is kind of, you know, their presentation after, you know, they've learned everything they could from the Founder-in-Residence. This cohort was Jessie Garcia. And every cohort we do is led by a different Founder-in-Residence. So it's kind of a little bit of a different perspective. So some of our presenters tonight weren't from the 3rd cohort, they were from other cohorts. So we do always invite people to come back and pitch.
Is this a VC, CIC, who sponsors?
Venture Café sponsors this, the Science Center.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I guess I have a question for the founders. Like, what was the moment you consider your company or your organization like legit? Like when it evolved from an idea to actually being like a company, an entity. That's where I'm at right now. So yes.
Did you guys hear the question? I can repeat. I see Joel nod. To all of the founders, at one moment in time, did you recognize the fact that your company was legit? Everybody's laughing.
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Joel.
Is that I don't know if anyone, I can see you in the audience, but if anyone watches Insecure,
Yeah, I've seen that.
in the first episode, someone asked Issa this, and she's like, I don't know what. I don't know. And so like, I want to be that person to say like, am I legit? I don't know. Like, I have to believe that my business is legit from day one, because if not, then I'm not going to be giving it the time and the energy that it needs and deserves to thrive. And so like, I guess day one, it was legit, but that doesn't mean that like every day there are worries about what's to come and what makes me legit and like all of that. So the answer to the question is like, since the day I decided it was a business, and also never.
I love that answer. Very good answer. Does anyone else have anything to add?
I would add as well. First of all, I totally agree. But I would add that your company is definitely legitimized when you're serving a need in the marketplace and when you're bringing someone value, even if it's just a couple people at first. But if you're, you know, just doing your thing for yourself, that's great too. but I found when we actually started to serve a community, that's when it legitimized the company for us.
Great answer. Any founders in the room want to take a stab or even folks that have presented or anyone going down? Yeah, even if they're not in the cohort, any founders want to answer that question? In person or online? So the question is, at what moment did you feel that your idea was legit? You're like, this is a company, I am legit. I'm also ad-libbing, it's been a while since I heard the question. Okay. Yash raises his hand. Go for it.
That was a pretty funny question because, like, in my experience, we went from like I came up with an idea, then I made an MVP, and then I'd done a bunch of applications, and then I took time away to kind of work on the product. And during those like 8 months, like I fully forgot. I just like lost all confidence because I hadn't spoken to anyone. I was just working on the idea again and again and again. And then when we came back, I remember we were doing like our first round of like outreach, and then we got like our first email back, and I was like, oh my God, like this is an actual thing. And I kind of forgot that there was a need, and like that feeling is quite nice. But I think it's very easy to kind of get lost, especially when you're smaller groups, you work on your own, to lose confidence in yourself, like Joel was saying. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Mariella, do you want to come up to the front so people online can see you?
Okay, yeah. So I have talked, I would say, with over 50 people, experts in the import-export, and because I was afraid, I was not sure if this was feasible. And as you see that they ask about like, okay, how you are gonna solve what the other ones, or what the other people, companies with more resources, connection, and everything, they are adding to the supply chain. And I said, I don't know. And I talked with over 50 people, and they say, you can do it, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way, go to this. And I spent over 8 months, and I said, you know what? That is not the right answer. You have to make a decision, and you have to follow process, and you have to test and learn. But yeah, at the end, you are the expert of your business, and you will see the future because you are working on it. So that is the only thing that I believe that this is happening because I already talked with many people, and I believe that it is possible to do it. So that's my personal experience.
Thank you. Tia, did you want to add anything? So the running question is, at what point in time did you realize that your business idea is legit?
So I started with my concept just knowing that caregivers needed help in like 2003, and I stood in a kitchen and I said, this is really important, and people said, oh no, it's not. There's already people taking care of that. And as through my career, then I was constantly having the same problem come up over and over, and it was such a deep-seated spiritual, emotional, social problem. And finally, I think what happened is that when I went to a federal event, the Association of Community Living had all of the big players together, and somehow I accidentally had a caregiver business, got on their list, and was invited to sit at this amazing event. And I listened to people who handle multi-billion-dollar budgets talk about how when they're a caregiver, they have the exact same experiences that I do when we're, they're lost. And even just the other week, I was in an event and one of the senators said, oh, I didn't know where to go with that kind of information. So I think that was the moment when people were validating that, oh yeah, I'm having that experience that you're trying to put traction to. And it's just been, it's been a great journey. And I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. So OnRamp really helped me with that, and I'm super grateful for everybody, and I especially love, what I love, is partnerships and friendships that are already happening. So Lottie, Scott, and I are working together to get some traction because there's a lot of people who judges and big organizations that can benefit from those partnerships.
That also segues into a question that I was thinking about is why people chose OnRamp. You know, obviously we're here, Jessie's here, and we're running it, so obviously we think it's amazing. But I'm just curious, you know, if some of the founders could speak to why OnRamp? What specifically have you gained from this experience?
Well, definitely practice. I mean, this competition, I mean, today, this presentation in general, it's just good to share your idea with other people. I think someone mentioned that you can be in your own bubble, which is totally true. Like you're just staying in your ideas and you're brainstorming and you think what you're building is really amazing. But it's not until you start to share it with other people that you can get the right amount of feedback. You can see what issues actually exist, not just the ones you make up in your mind. So I think for us, definitely the practice part, like speaking in front of you guys, getting feedback, that was one of the most valuable things for sure.
That's really great to hear.
So for me, I got a day job, so just having a designated kind of thing during the week has been tremendously helpful. You know, making sure that all of my ducks are in a row before Thursday have been, it's focused me, and with the changing topic every week, I actually center myself around that for a few hours on the weekend or whenever I'm working on business. And that's something that I didn't have before. It was kind of just in spurts. So it's been, you know, very, very useful.
So is there anything that, you know, we didn't cover in OnRamp that you guys think that you would like to see more of? Because we do this every quarter. We're always trying to improve. And also, just so you know, anyone who's participated in OnRamp once, you can always come back again. You can always pitch again. You know, you don't have to attend every single session. You're part of our community now. So we'd love to hear your feedback on what we can do better or what else you want to see.
What resources are there for people who have been here? Is there any like Slack community or like you guys email?
What resources are there? So yes, we do have a Slack community, and I will send that out to you and to everyone else just to make sure that everyone has that information. Also, in the coming new year, you know, we've had some difficulties with COVID. We couldn't meet in person. We've had a lot of virtual cohorts, but you know, fingers crossed that we can have some more in-person experiences, demo tables, you know, in-person sharing activities where, you know, you guys have mentioned you like having a community. So we really want to kind of establish that more. We want to have this OnRamp community. Even though you finished the cohort, we want you to come back and re-engage with us regularly. Tia has a comment.
The one that we have a comment, but one of the things that I think the classes and programs were super helpful. The networking was amazing. But having some way of having a mentor or someone to come alongside you and bring you. I know that that's a benefit of the lunch the next phase, but at this phase, this is kind of when we're green and have no blue, we're terrified. That would be really
Jessie will be back in a minute.
that would be spectacular to have a mentor to partner with us to get us into one space that we don't have to move.
Thank you so much for that feedback. So it looks like the judges are back. So I am going to pass the mic over to Jessie.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for your patience. It was a really great deliberation. We had a really hard time. The judges had a really hard time deciding, but I'm excited to share. So in third place, we have Alla Future. You will be getting $1,500 in funding for your business, as well as the PAC membership, PAC mentor office hours, membership to ICP 401. And for all participants, I should say, Margaret Bradley from Ben Franklin, as well as Ellen Weber from Robinhood, have offered office hours for all the participants tonight, so you get one-on-one feedback for your pitches.
Wow, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
In second place, we have Legisher with Maddie Edgar. $2,500 towards your business, as well as all the other things I've mentioned already. And then last but not least, in first place, we have Lofty Spot, who won $5,000 towards her business. Again, this OnRamp cohort was absolutely fantastic. Like I say, as always in every class, like take advantage of free resources and offers, such as the ones that Robinhood and Ben Franklin are offering. For those of you who are thinking about starting your business or maybe didn't win tonight, OnRamp is starting again January 13th. It's a free class. Keep working on your business. And we're so excited to have the new founder in residence, who is going to be kicking that off, John Postamato. So thank you again so much. This was a really wonderful evening, and applications are open for OnRamp starting tonight. So please apply and come back January 13th.
Thank you, Jessie. I also wanted to just thank Jessie for doing such an amazing job. Appreciate it. And you'll always be a part of OnRamp. So thank you so much for everything you've done for everyone.
Thank you.
And I just want to introduce John. If John wants to come on for a few minutes just to introduce yourself, John will be our next founder in residence, starting on January 13th.
Hi, everyone. I'm blown away. I'm sitting in my hotel room and I'm cheering on mute, which is just really kind of ridiculous. But that's how excited I am about this whole thing. I'm really glad to be part of it. And, you know, a long time ago, actually in an entrepreneurial class, someone told me it was the journey, not the destination. And I didn't believe them then, but I do believe it now. So I'm very pleased to be part of the journey, and hopefully we'll meet some of you, at least virtually and maybe in person. I'm looking very forward to it. So.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all our winners, and we'll see you guys all in the new year. Thank you to our judges. Thank you, Ellen, Mark, and Margaret, for coming out tonight. We really appreciate it.